I have selected Deputy Chief Andre Sayles to be the interim police chief of this department. He has earned the respect of our police force in his time here, and that is exactly what we need right now.
Developing now at 6, Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson introduced Andre Sayles as interim police chief today after she asked for and received the resignation of Shon Barnes. Good evening, I'm Preston Phillips.
And I'm Molly Shen. The move comes amidst the criticism of the city's handling of Sunday's deadly mass shooting at Seattle Center. We have team coverage tonight, including Jeremy Harris with reaction from the police union, as well as new body cam video of the response to Sunday's shooting.
Joe Marino talked with members of the community about the change in leadership, but we begin with KOMO senior reporter Chris Daniels, who spoke one-on-one with Mayor Wilson about why she wanted Barnes out now. And Chris, you've just learned some new information.
Yeah, just moments ago, Preston, I received the settlement agreement between the city of Seattle and now former police chief Shon Barnes. He will get hundreds of thousands of dollars, 18 months of salary. In addition, he will get a chance to keep his hiring bonus and moving expenses in exchange for not suing the city of Seattle. This comes as Mayor Katie Wilson defends herself from criticism for making the move in the middle of a major crime investigation and before one of the department's busiest weekends of the year. On the top floor of Seattle City Hall,
I do have a different window into our police department.
Lined by a wall of glass,
I do have a different window.
Mayor Katie Wilson talked a lot about her view.
I have a different window into the
before stepping back into her office full of windows to defend her decision to push out Seattle Police Chief Shon Barnes.
It is ultimately my responsibility to keep the people of this city safe. And sometimes you have to make a decision that not everyone agrees with.
What I heard from the council in that you attempted to do this twice before at the start of your term and just before FIFA. So why do this now?
I have not attempted to do this before. I will say that the decision to pursue a change in leadership at SPD has to do with many factors and certainly does not just have to do with the events of Sunday.
On that horrible Sunday at the Bite of Seattle, multiple shots were fired. 3 people were killed, 4 others injured, and Wilson, along with Barnes's department, failed to inform the public for hours about the threat, a factor Wilson now cites in the chief's departure.
I see a complete lack of leadership, and for us and some of us, a no confidence in this administration.
Councilmember Deborah Juarez is among the critics of Wilson's moves.
Doesn't the buck stop with you, though?
But yes, the buck stops with me, and that is why I'm making these decisions now. In a situation like this, SPD is the lead department, and that means that they take the lead on communications.
Is there an edict, though, from you as we stand here today?
An edict?
An edict on how that's going to change immediately. God forbid something happens at City Fair this weekend. What's different?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is why we have worked urgently to do this review of our communications practices.
Wilson hinted Barnes's resignation will also cost the city money.
The question of whether the chief was given a severance package, you seem to allude that he is being given one.
I believe that that will probably come out. Right now, we want to keep the focus on our new leadership at SPD.
And Wilson also provided a window today into how she views the criminal investigation.
You founded the Transit Riders Union. Given the past support for abolishing the youth jail with the Transit Riders Union, do you believe that that 15-year-old shooter should be released to community supervision and monitoring?
I believe that we need an approach that involves both accountability and compassion and an understanding that we do treat youth differently than adults. And we will be working closely with SPD, with our King County Prosecutor's Office on the path forward. I'm not advocating for any change to the practice that is currently being pursued with regard to this investigation or how suspects are treated.
The interim chief is Andre Sayles, who was brought in by Shon Barnes and also from Wisconsin. He fully acknowledged today that he spends time at his second home in Illinois every 2 months or so. Barnes' travel schedule to and from his home and away from the office was cited by Wilson today. She said she didn't authorize it, so I asked her office late this afternoon what makes Sayles' situation any different. And I was told, quote, the mayor clarified expectations of remaining in Seattle while acting as the interim.
All right, Chris, so there is a lot of finger pointing going on right now. What comes next?
Well, the council members that I spoke with today said they really didn't want to jump into this today. They wanted to have Chief Sayles have his day being introduced as the interim chief, but there's a lot of questions that still have not been answered, whether it be the response, who called for that first press conference, who said, please hold off on it, surveillance cameras and the expansion of surveillance cameras. There weren't cameras in that particular area of Seattle Center. We know that the mayor has said that she doesn't want to expand the program necessarily, and there's a pilot program right now that is on hold pending an audit. And then on top of all that, we have a council member saying she has no confidence in this mayor. What does that mean? Nobody has the answers to those questions today.
I'm curious, you had that, no confidence. You had other council members critical. Have you spoken to anyone who says they believe she's making the right decisions right now?
No. In fact, I think it was telling that we did not see a single council member standing behind her today. All 9 of them were not there. They were back in their offices. They were away from City Hall. They did not want to be a part of this. And we are talking about allies on the council to this mayor who were also upset that they were kept in the dark about this decision. There are a lot of questions, and frankly, the mayor didn't answer them today about all the factors that went into such a major decision like this. Yes, the travel was a problem for her. Yes, the response was a problem for her. But she says there are other factors, and that is what nobody knows at this point until, of course, we start seeing texts and emails that are likely going to be coming out in the days and weeks to come.
Chris, do you think she's concerned about her own job at this point?
I don't think so. She's only 7 months into this right now. Besides Deborah Juarez calling and saying that she has no confidence in this particular mayor, there's no call for a vote of any sort at this point. There are rumblings about things behind the scenes, but nobody's talking about that at the forefront. This is a mayor now who has made a defining decision this early in her term, 7 months in, to make a move with the police chief. This will define her in the months ahead, and especially the police response with an interim chief and now a national search. You both know that it took the city of Seattle a year to find a new chief, and Shon Barnes. And that was done without any sort of formal search committee. That was done by the then Mayor Bruce Harrell. How long will it take to find another chief? And if that drags on, what does that say about this mayor in the city of Seattle?
We're going to keep you busy finding
Yes.
answers for us, Chris. Thank you.
That brings us to our Pulse poll tonight. Scan the QR code there on your screen to answer this question. Do you approve of Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson asking the police chief to resign? This is a live look at the results tonight. 69% of you say no, 31% say yes. We'll share the updated results tonight on KOMO News at 11. The abrupt resignation of Chief Barnes has many asking what's next for the Seattle Police Department. KOMO's Jeremy Harris has been looking into the interim chief who is now leading the police department and the fallout from this week's controversies at City Hall. Jeremy?
What an about face it has been here in Seattle. It was just a few weeks ago we were talking about what a success the World Cup was, how homicides were dropping. Well, now it's been a week of chaos at City Hall with the council at odds with the mayor, an abrupt exit from the police chief's office, and a lot of questions about the future of SPD. A new perspective shows officers running into danger at the Bite of Seattle shooting. They got control quickly, taking a shooter into custody and starting to help victims. Their actions were heroic, but in the aftermath of this tragedy, much of the focus on police has been with scandals in the hours and days after.
I am grateful for his service.
Mayor Katie Wilson pushed Chief Shon Barnes to resign as City Hall faced tough questions about why it took 5 hours to put out critical information on the shooting and concerns about the chief's travel. He was out of town during the shooting, and it emerged his family lives in Chicago. But the mayor wouldn't commit on whether that is why she forced him out, only saying multiple times she has a window into the department.
As the mayor, I have a different window into the police department than many of our council members, and I made the decision that I firmly believe was the right one at this time as we are moving forward with the summer.
The public deserves more than that, though, Mayor. Respectfully, you can say I have this window into the police department that nobody else has, but that's not good enough for the public. What wasn't Shon Barnes getting done? Crime is down, recruitment is up, major progress has been made in the last year and a half under his tenure. What wasn't he getting done?
I would just say that I believe that the path we are on now is the one that is going to put us in the best position to achieve our public safety outcomes, and that includes transparent communication with the public, that includes operational relationships throughout the department.
Do you think she's putting too much of this on the police?
I think so.
Police Guild President Kent Lou says this week of political drama at City Hall has been a distraction.
I think there's going to be more demand for probably a more specific timeline of what really occurred. We started with miscommunication from Sunday night's press conference to Wednesday night all the way mostly through Thursday, not knowing who was running the Seattle Police Department.
For now, Interim Chief Andre Sayles is being put in charge of SPD as the mayor begins a search for a new chief.
It's about public safety. It's about being committed and working together, not just as a police department, but as the police department, the mayor's office, and the council members of this city of Seattle.
Now, before coming to Seattle to work for the police here, Interim Chief Sayles led a very small police department in Wisconsin. Today, the police union said that he has their full support. They think he's a good leader, but the union president told me that he still wants more specific answers about the dysfunction that happened Sunday after that shooting and the events of this week. Reporting live outside City Hall, Jeremy Harris, KOMO News.
Jeremy, while I got you, I'm curious, what are officers on the street saying about this?
Well, that's a great question, Preston, because there's a lot of frustration. I've heard from SPD cops who say they are frustrated at the turnover, and they said in the last year and a half they seem to think like things had sort of been stabilizing. You know, it seems like every couple of years we have some controversy with the police chief. They said things seem to be stabilizing. They thought the department was on a good foot moving forward, and now they say all of this chaos and more turnover in the chief's office and all of these headlines are only serving to overshadow the good work of those officers who responded to the shooting.
Jeremy Harris, live for us downtown tonight. Thanks, Jeremy.
Leaders in Seattle's black community say they wanted Shon Barnes to stay. Now they wonder if they'll have a meaningful voice when the next chief is selected. KOMO's Joel Marino is live in Seattle with the shattered sense of trust and questions about the future. Joel.
Molly, there was a last-minute, all-out push to save Shon Barnes from being dismissed, but his biggest supporters say it really didn't matter what they said or did because the mayor's mind was already made up.
They gathered at City Hall for one final attempt to stop Seattle's police chief from being pushed out. But the meeting with Mayor Katie Wilson wasn't the beginning of a conversation, it was the end.
I am grateful for his service.
Yes, she listened to us, but did it mean anything? No. In my strong conviction, her mind was already made up. I could see it in her demeanor.
Supporters say they're not defending Shon Barnes because of who he is. They're defending what he accomplished.
People in this community are going to miss Shon Barnes. This was one of the most responsive chiefs that we as the black community have ever really had.
The mayor says Barnes' removal was due in part to factors connected to the deadly bite of Seattle shooting, but she has not spelled out what those factors are.
Give us, the people in the community, cause, you know, what is the reason that he was forced out, or say with conviction, just because what I wanted to do. I'm the boss.
Yes, it really has.
Now, many who rally behind Barnes say they have lost confidence in the direction Mayor Wilson is taking the city.
She's not demonstrating leadership skills. She's not demonstrating political acumen. She was a novice there when she got the job. I don't know what we're doing. I think the voters need to understand you made a mistake.
Some also see a troubling pattern, pointing to the final days of Carmen Best and the end of her role as police chief during the racial justice protests in 2020.
Highly competent black people who had these roles, and they were dismissed unceremoniously, and that makes it about race for us.
Members of the black community say gun violence disproportionately impacts their neighborhoods, and they hope to have a voice in the selection of the next permanent police chief. However, given how all this has played out, they really aren't sure that the mayor will actually listen to them. Reporting live, Joel Marino, KOMO News.
Joel, thank you. So much has happened over the past 5 days. We've made it easy for you to keep track of all the developments. Scan the QR code on your screen, which takes you to a comprehensive timeline of events on KOMOnews.com. From the first shots fired Sunday evening all the way up to this morning's news conference introducing the interim chief. For more extensive coverage, you can also find all this week's news briefings, Chris Daniels' full interview with Mayor Wilson, and so much more on the KOMO News YouTube page.